me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
Now, you'll get some supporters blaming their team's poor form on bad luck, but what if there was more to it? A curse, perhaps? Boston Red Sox fans were convinced they were cursed by the New York Yankees for 86 years until they won the World Series in 2004. One Red Sox fan has attempted to pay back the Yankees for all those years of hurt. How did he do it? Well, you may have seen it in the news. Stepping up to the plate for MacAulay & Co.'s BBC Scotland's own Red Sox fan, Paul Mitchell. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Fred.
Which team do you support? The Red Sox? I'm taking that's the Boston Red Sox.
Absolutely.
There is only
Boston
one Red Sox
fan.
Okay.
Absolutely. Great side.
What's your affiliation to them?
It was the first American city that I visited that had a baseball stadium, and I went along and fell in love with the place, Fenway Park.
Fenway Park, yeah.
Beautiful.
It's quite an old stadium, isn't it?
It's one of the two oldest in the league, and they were going to move from it, but the Boston fans revolted and basically said, no, we've got to stay here, so they've been renovating it for the last 10 years.
I'm a White Sox man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Southside hitmen. So it's the only ball game I've ever been to in my life. But I would go back. Enjoyed myself very much. Do you get over there often, or do you just watch on a special channel on television?
I watch a fair bit on television, but I've been over a few times. I've seen baseball in several countries, and I've been lucky enough to go along to a Boston Red Sox New York Yankees game, which, tell you what, Fred, makes the old firm look tame at times.
Is that so? And why did they think they'd been cursed for 86 years?
Well, the curse went back to the selling of the best player, and not just Babe Ruth, who was, the baseball player back in 1920. The Red Sox were broke. The owner sold Babe Ruth and a whole number of other players, and basically the Red Sox stunk and won nothing for years. But the curse didn't actually come about until 1990. There was a book by Dan Shaughnessy called The Curse of the Bambino, Bambino being Babe Ruth's nickname. And he basically said, look, ever since Boston sold the greatest ever baseball player, they've been dogged by the worst luck you could ever have. And suddenly he put this all in a book, and everybody went, you know what, he's right, we're cursed. And it just took off from there.
And the Yankees are building, I mean, they had a modern stadium anyway, I've seen it, but they're building a new one.
Yeah, typical Yankees money grabbers, Fred. They want more corporate hospitality, more corporate boxes, so they've decided to build a bigger stadium right on the same site of where they are, just slightly behind it. But a Red Sox fan got in there and did his magic. Yeah,
his magic being that he buried in concrete his Red Sox shirt.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's the best news story of the year, deciding to try and put the hex on the New York Yankees. He was only there for a day, Fred, but he stuck the David Ortiz jersey underneath some concrete and thought that was it, but unfortunately word got out.
Why didn't he keep his big trap shut?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would have personally waited till opening day of the brand new stadium, and I would have said, right, by the way, do you guys know it's under there? And I think that would have been even better.
Cynics might say it's a publicity stunt by the money-grabbing Yankees.
Well, I mean, the Yankees are now threatening legal action, would you believe? I mean, it's unbelievable to do something like that. I'll tell you what, Fred, they said it cost $50,000 to dig out this jersey. I mean, was it Hillary and Bill Clinton they got to dig it out? I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just typical of the Yankees trying to overstate things.
Well, no, if you were the man that had been in there with a Kango hammer drill to dig it out, you're 50 grand to the good for a half an hour's work.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
We're talking sportsmen and superstitions just now. We've got sports psychologist Dominic Clarke with us. Good morning, Dominic.
Good morning, Fred. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
I'm fantastic.
So, Dominic, would this have made a difference to the players if they'd known that there was a Red Sox shirt buried someplace and they hadn't managed to dig it up?
Well, the key word being known, I mean, if they had never found out being buried, obviously, from my perspective, I don't think it would have had an effect, but if they had found it, it certainly could have. However, I don't think it's because of a curse per se, but more because of the history of the curse and this kind of downward spiral of sentiment.
Now, you know what gets me is in soccer, or football as we say over here, when the teams maybe make a substitution and a new player comes on the pitch, if he's of a religious persuasion, he might sometimes cross himself. This happens a lot in Spain and Italy. I don't think it can happen here because of the connotations that we've got up here in Scotland of sectarianism, but presumably there's an equal number of people who have share religious beliefs on either team. So, is it not going to balance itself out?
Well, the most famous one, Fred, was the 1990 Scottish Cup final. Brian Irvine who's a Church of Scotland elder, up against Pat Bonner. Both of them believers, so you think, well, who's going to win this one, you know? So Sporting Fate decided it was Brian Irvine that put the penalty past Pat Bonner to win the final. But players look for an edge in any way. I mean, Shay Given, the former Newcastle goalkeeper, used to take a bottle of holy water in with him in his kit bag. You know, people do things that they think will give them an edge.
I think at Anfield all the players have to kind of tap something as they're coming out of the tunnel.
I think they tap the sign. I mean, Italian football players, for example, like to step onto the field, Fred, with their right foot first, just to emulate the Roman gladiators of old. They see that as good luck. Right.
Any other superstitions you've heard of?
My favourite guy is a guy from the Cleveland Indians, a baseball player called Kevin Romberg, who, while he was warming up and getting ready for a game, Fred, if anybody touched him, he would have to touch them back.
Right.
And his teammates soon twigged about this, so what they used to do is wait till he went into the toilet, they would lean under the cubicle, touch him on the feet, and he'd go absolutely mad, chasing through at the clubhouse, trying to find out who'd touched him. He'd end up having to touch everybody there. Madness.
It is madness, isn't it? I suppose the best thing would be for him just to, at once, go out and see if he managed to play all right, because if he managed it without touching everybody back, then it would show just the futility of it all.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it depends on if he thinks he can do that. I mean, if he thinks he can do it, then why not? But a lot of the problem is these habits are so ingrained that it basically becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Tiger Woods always wears red, I think, in his final day, doesn't he? A red shirt.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger Woods does that, but I wouldn't call that a superstition. I'd call that a routine, because I think if, say a fan nicked his red shirt, I think he could play equally as well in a white or a black shirt.
You think?
Yeah, I mean, Tiger's the most confident athlete in the world.
I'd love to see him then discard the red shirt and see how he gets on.
But you can bet, Fred, that if he didn't win that day, he would blame it. I mean, he still keeps the red shirt whether he wins or not. But, I mean, I think it was Gary Lineker used to change his shirt at half-time if he hadn't scored.
Is that right?
If he had scored, he would keep the shirt on. I mean, footballers just do daft things as well.
Yeah. There are a lot of superstitions in golf, which I play now and again, and...
which you don't believe in, of course.
I don't believe in, no.
You must do something, though, Fred. You must do something.
I mean, because you get people, if they do have a good round, then they'll try and emulate exactly what they did. You know, I had 2 bacon rolls and a cheese roll. I'll have that again. Before I go out. I had 7 large gin and tonics. I'll have 7 large gin and tonics again before I go out. It's not a superstition, it's a routine.
Well, if it works for you, Fred, that's the main thing. I think it worked better for your opponent, mine.
I might well do.
I was going to say, have you seen him playing golf?
Fellas, many thanks for coming in this morning. It'll be interesting to see what happens in this season if the Red Sox manage to get one over in the Yankees. When do they play each other?
I think they're playing against each other again tonight, Fred. They play several times throughout the season, and the level of rivalry remains the same no matter what.
All right. OK, Paul, Dominic, many thanks for joining us here this morning.